All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans, sponsored by Lion Bolt Media. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, essentially gathering insight, inspiration. It really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I like to consider a real estate titan. Now, our very special guest and feature tonight today, I'm super excited, all the way from Winchester, Massachusetts, none other than Sven Andersen. Sven, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. I cannot wait to dive in. Thanks so much.
I'm psyched to be here, man. I'm fired up. It's going to be cool, and I'm happy to share with anybody and anybody that wants some information and insight about growing their real estate business. I'm just super grateful, and I truly appreciate it, man.
It's my honor, and it's everybody else's pleasure. There's no doubt in the world. So Sven, without further ado, let's just dive into the series of questions. I really want everybody to get to know who you are, why you do what you do, and really just get that tactical knowledge to apply to their business. So let's just start with the first question. It's really introducing yourself, who you are, where you're from, why you do what you do, your background, your story.
Cool. Yeah. So my name's Sven Andersen. I grew up in Connecticut. Greg and I were talking a little bit about Connecticut.
Yes, we were.
Moved to Massachusetts, went to Bentley College, and right out of school, I got into the technical world. I said I wanted to figure out what I wanted to do in terms of growing my business. And I was like, let's get into this world of building computer networks. So I did that for a while. And I said, I learned all about building computer networks. After that, I decided that I found a little niche, and I started working in the world of internet security. So I heard all about what this internet security thing was. And so I jumped into and started with a startup company selling people that would break into computer networks, ethical hacking, if you would. So wow. Yeah, it was a cool model for a while. And then I switched gears, and I was selling some business into a large organization, a financial organization here in Boston. And after a year and a half of juggling that, after dealing back and forth with purchasing and all these other things where there was no real decision maker, I would be talking to one person, and then they'd go to this person and this person, and then finally go to the purchasing department. And at the end, they'd say, drop another 10 to 15%, or else we're not doing a deal. So I got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to do this because I'm not dealing with any decision makers. And so I switched gears out of that, and I joined another internet startup company, which was different. I was selling digital IDs that were put on the Amex Blue card. So all the digital IDs and those little chips that everybody has on their credit cards now was a thing in the future where nobody had them except this Amex Blue card, and we were selling the technology that would allow digital IDs.
Wow.
That started the company. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So the story is pretty cool, but so my wife looks at me and she's like, well, I started with this company. I was growing this out and selling into the verticals of telecommunications. So I was traveling all over the country. And ultimately I decided, we got to this point where the company was, I joined it at 10 for 1 split at $100 a share. And when I left, it was delisted from the stock exchange. So it was one of these companies crash and burn and my top client was MCI or WorldCom, which was a nightmare. So anyway, long story short, they gave me a severance package, and my wife says to me, "What do you want to do with your life?" And I'm like, She's like, "What do we want to do?" I'm like, "I have no idea." And I said, "You know what I want to do?" My father was a builder. I grew up building houses, digging trenches, putting roofs on, doing this and that. I said, I want to switch gears and I want to sell real estate. She goes, "What do you not know about real estate? You're a computer guy. You have a marketing degree and a business background." I'm like, who knows? Let's get into this.
Right.
So I got a severance package, got the package, and took off and said, I want to switch gears and get into real estate. So with a 3-month severance package, I got my real estate license at the same time I was in that world. And off I went into the world of selling real estate.
Unbelievable, Sven. And again, going through your background and your story with the technicality, your knowledge basis and your expertise into those worlds, it is an interesting question to ask, why real estate and what was going on. And even with your background, digging trenches and new construction and the building realm, what was your initial thought process in your mind to go into real estate? What was it? Why did you really completely just shift and go into that? What was it like there?
You know what I've always been a salesperson. I've always sold things. I've always been in that world where I connect with people and I add value. But when I first started, I said, what do I really want to do? I'm passionate about the town that I live in, and I'm passionate about what I'm selling, and I'm knowledgeable about the building side of this business. So
interesting. Okay.
I said, wait, I want to learn about this business, and I want to grow, and I want to figure out how to be different. And what I did is I just switched gears and said, I don't know anything about this, but I'm going to take 2 feet in and learn it. And so I did it on my own. I literally would stay at the office. My wife, we had no kids. We were living in an apartment, and I was literally in the office till 12 midnight every night, just trying to do what I needed to do. I would be running I did something different. I actually was the first guy that I bought 20,000 laminated cards, and I would run them through the printer at night at 12 o'clock when nobody was there. So I would be, the just listed cards would be like this thing, and I would be running through the printer, and the next morning the printer wouldn't work right.
Oh, wow.
And they'd be like, what's wrong with the printer? And I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, so that was my first, I would just do things that would be crazy. Like when I first started, my manager said to me, I said, what am I going to need to do? How do I get started? Here's a phone book. Wow. Phone book? What do you mean? He goes, call through all the letters of the alphabet and ask them if they'd like a complimentary market analysis for their house. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. They're like, no.
This is it here. Wow.
So guess what? I didn't know any better. How you doing? Would you ever like a complimentary market analysis?
Wow.
Years later, that whole process changed and it evolved. So I've learned that, this business is a lonely business, right? It's a weird business. It's a business that you unless you're with somebody and being guided as a mentor, you're like this kind of a homeless person. It sounds kind of weird to use that analogy.
Sure.
But it's like you're wandering around trying to figure out where you fit. Like, what do I need to do? How do I get better? Like, how do I accelerate my learning and my path to success? How do I do that? And so I always found out like there was nobody at this firm that would really guide me the right way. They were just like, figure it out. And I was like, wow. And this was 20 years ago. So it was a little different in the sense of, what people would do as mentors and how this happened. And I guess what I learned is that it was challenging. It was challenging. When I first got in this business, I remember going to the person that was one of this pretty senior sales agents, and I said, I'm really excited to work with you and learn a little bit about how to do business. And they're like, you should get out of this business. You're never going to make it in this world, in this business. And I said, oh, okay.
Unreal.
That was a fire because I was always competitive. I went to Bentley in college here, or university here in Waltham, Mass. And I played competitive tennis during college and after college. And
awesome.
I just was like, that's going to be the fire that fuels me, and that the fuel that fires me. And like, I'm so fired up to like crush it. And so I just said, I'm gonna make something about. I'm gonna change the way my path is, and I'm not gonna let other people tell me what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create my own path. And I think that's what. It's hard in this business though, because if you're starting off, you're not sure how to go, where to go, what to do.
Well, and I think to that nature, it's, a lot has changed in 10 years. A lot has changed in 20, 30. I mean, there's always evolution through an industry or, especially into real estate and how things have adjusted. But you've really had that progression in your career and in your life to really create what you've created and the team and the reputation that's out there. So just share a little bit with everybody who's watching or listening, Sven, is from the beginning, what was your path like? How did you land in Keller Williams? And then obviously, build this beautiful team that's growing and, continues to. So what did that look like as you were weaving through your career?
Yeah. So when I first got started, I hate paperwork. I just hate it with a passion. I suck. I do not like to fill out paperwork. I'm the guy that will talk to you. I'll do anything. And then somebody's like, hey, you've got to fill out these 30 pieces of paper. And I'm like, let's automate this. Let's figure out how to automate. Like, let's just put it in the system. And So I was the first guy with an iPad that would sign on it. And they're like, we can't take this. I'm like, it's the same form. It's just in a digital format. They're like, eh. So anyway, I would push the envelope all the time.
Love it.
And after the first year in real estate, I hired my first assistant. I sold the house. This woman walked in and said, she goes, I don't know what to do, but I want to do something with you. I was like, what do you mean something with me? She's like, I want to work for you. I'm like, but I don't know what to do with you. I have no idea. Like, she's like, I can do anything. And I'm like, okay, well, she was an older woman and she was a nice person. And I said, great, you have a job. Let's go. Let's figure this out. So we worked together for 5 years. I taught her all about the business. She handled all the paperwork, which was perfect. And I handled all the other pieces.
Okay.
As I grew from there, I basically wanted to find out how to add people to that. And I just added a person to our team. And as a real estate professional, but you have to add one person, and that first person is an admin person if you're trying to grow a team, because that's the most critical part. And you have to actually talk to people with what you want to take on and what you don't want to take on. So if there's things that you like, keep those things. If there's things you don't like, get rid of them and actually put them on a piece of paper and say, this is a job description for somebody.
Brilliant.
Because if you don't start that way and you don't do that, then you're not going to grow the right way. So if there's things that you hate doing, write them down on a piece of paper, and that's a job description for somebody. That was my first job description. And my wife's like, that's the smartest thing you could have done.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
Who knows? I didn't know. I was like, I just want to figure it out. And I hate paperwork. So,
so it's the necessity that kind of drew out that hire or that acquisition, for position. But I think that, furthermore, there's so many people that are tuning in and they're really understanding where you're coming from is try to leverage yourself in the best possible ways. And really you're breaking it down to people, systems, and different levels of technology. How can you really be the best version of yourself, focus on what you love and what drives and motivates you and gives the best end result to buyers and sellers, but then also, building a wonderful team around you of people, tech or systems that are going to allow you to help more families, to help more lives, to grow into a larger scale. And, you doing that immediately within the first year, thinking this way, Sven, is incredible. And, I would encourage anybody who's watching and listening to do exactly what you just said. Make those lists, see what you're currently doing, what you love, and keep doing. But the things that you don't, but still have to get done, job description. I love it. It's just as simple as that. I mean, it's brilliant.
I mean, I don't know. Here's the situation, right? Like you can always be better, right? I'm a firm believer. Like I learn every single day. If I'm not reading a book a week, I'm not learning and growing, and I'm always about that. And so, and if for people that are learning about that, I'm literally on the bike or on the treadmill because I've done a half Ironman and I'm going to be doing some more. So those are the things that were pushing me to be different, to be a leader, and to be different in terms of those expectations of my team. But I'm actually looking to push myself always. So if I'm on the bike or I'm running, I got AirPods in and I'm actually listening to a book. So if you're not, or a podcast or something like that. So, so right here, this is what you should be listening to.
I appreciate that, Sven. I mean, learning from great minds such as yourselves from all different backgrounds, and really there's not a one size fits all, and everybody has a directive and an opportunity to grow to the highest of levels, but you got to put the work in, you got to put the time in. I mean, multiple decades of you doing what you do and loving what you love and making an impact. I really want everybody to know about the team. So let's talk about the team and how that was formed, where you're currently at. And let's talk about growth for that, because I know you guys are growing, and I would love just more information there too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a team of 10, 9 as of today, by 10 by next week.
Okay.
So we'll be growing to that level. And it's a combination of myself, kind of the lead listing agent and rainmaker, if you will, in that sense. And then we've got our listings coordinator who manages all the listings with us, as well as our director of operations, who manages day-to-day operations, as well as our team and recruiting components.
Love it.
In addition to that, we have we have an ISA that just joined our firm. So we have an inside sales associate.
Beautiful.
We have a team lead buyers, sellers, agent. And then we have 4 other team agents. And so what we're trying to do is grow. We're growing actively. And
Okay.
what we're wanting to do is we're adding a marketing person, and we're going to be adding some other folks to the team. So
Perfect.
it's a big push to be able to make sure that we've got all the right people in place that are a cultural fit, who are team players. So if people are trying to grow a team, if they haven't read The Ultimate Team Player, that book is, I don't know if there's some books out there that are awesome.
Sure.
It's about culture. We're trying to build the right culture within our organization. And I think what I've found is that I've had people come on my team and leave my team. I've asked people to leave because they haven't been a cultural fit, but also what I'm trying to do is build the right organization with the right people who are all A players.
Love that.
Because A players follow A players. And what I found is that if I change the standard for what we're building and how we're holding people accountable, they don't like that. I had one conversation with one of my team agents, Kara, and she said to me, I was with a different firm before, and I joined your team. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate the camaraderie of the team and the accountability component of it to keep me on point.
It's huge. Yeah.
And I was just said to myself, that's really, really powerful to be able to say that you did it on your own. You tried it on your own. It wasn't successful. And this person's actually exploded, and she's done an incredible amount of business. She's going to do more this year. She's going to double her business. And what I found is that if you help groom people the right way and lift them up and guide them and help foster success and growth, and let other people around them see that, other people want to be lifted up and grow. And I think that's a big, big piece of growing as a team.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to be said about it. But I mean, ultimately, we just fell shy of $100 million last year in terms of 2020. Okay. We're going to be on track to do between 185 and 200 million this year. And so we've got a big push to make sure that we front load all of our marketing, which is, if somebody's not doing that, you should be thinking about that, where you front load your marketing dollars for the first quarter to the first half of the year. So I'm taking allocation of my money and time and resources into my team members, as well as all of what we're doing to capture opportunities now.
Brilliant.
And so if somebody's not doing that, you really should think about that, because that really does change the dynamic of the year ahead. And so about the team and the culture, I just think it's really, really important that we have the right people on the bus in the right seats. Because if you do, you win. There's another good book, right? The Energy Book.
Yeah. Well, and the right seats on the bus, good to great. I believe, or maybe it's something else going through there, Sven. But I love the fact that the way that things are set up, and it is a true unit, and you are all growing together and succeeding together. And that's just not the case. Unfortunately, there's still a portion of what you dealt with 20 some odd years ago, where people are just wandering and they're alone and they don't have the guidance and leadership or camaraderie and proper culture to really flourish. It's that the environment that's necessary for that seed to grow into that giant tree and to bear fruit, which I think is a beautiful example into what you guys do. And so, Sven, with that being said, though, what's the best way for anybody who's tuning in, watching or listening, to get a hold of you, to learn more about the team, to ask questions, that sort of thing, as a resource? What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
To reach out to me in particular, or
you or the team, and anybody, just to learn more about what's going on in your world?
Anybody can email me, Sven, Sven, at Andersen Group Realty. So it's Andersen Group Realty.com.
Okay.
And just give a ring. If you really want to call them, 781-729-2329. Just call the number and check in. If you want to set up a time with myself, I want to be able to help guide people. Here's what happened, right? I never had the resources to be able to connect at a high level with other top producing agents. And quite honestly, unless I was part of the Howard Brinton group of folks that were doing some different things, and I was part of some different groups, Cyberstars and all these other older groups. And I was really enamored with some of these top producing agents. Actually, and I do want to share this quick story because I think it's powerful.
Share away.
So I was ready to get out of this business. in 2000, and I literally was ready to leave in 2007
Oh, wow.
and 8. I was ready to pack it up
Wow.
and take off.
Hmm.
And my wife looks at me and she's like, what are we doing? You're not making any money.
Hmm.
And I said, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, you're not making any money. You started a newspaper that would be selling ads in the newspaper that was going out to the entire area once a month. And I was sending 20,000 pieces of this newsletter or newspaper out to these people. And I was, quote, selling ads in it. Well, the economics didn't work. And so I was ready to pack it up and move to California with my wife. My brother-in-law lived in San Diego, and she's like, let's have you get a real job. And leave.
Oh boy.
And so we had a daughter at that time, and she was pregnant with our second. So I was like, wow, maybe she's right. So I picked up the phone and I called my friend Leslie McDonald, who was in the Chicago area. Good friend of mine and mentor. And I've said to her, she was doing $92 million at the time.
Wow.
And she's running a team. And I called her. I said, I need to talk to you for a minute. She's like, I said, you have no idea who I am, but I need your help. And she was the most giving human being on this planet and said, I want to talk to you. I'm happy to. I was like, you don't even know me. And she's like, I want to help you. And I'm like, you have the biggest heart.
I love that.
So I said, what can I ever do for you? And she said, you know what? Just pay it forward. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't know who you are or who you are, but she's become one of my dear friends in this business. And,
that's awesome.
And I would do anything for her and her family, and she would do for mine. So I think what you need to do is you need to find mentors in this world, right? You need to find people that'll lift you up and that'll help you along. Because when I was going to get out of this business, she talked me out of it. She said, you have some other opportunities, because we were speaking on the same stage where we were actually at a real estate conference, and she just guided me the right way. And she's like, you need to do these things first. And when she started doing that, I started to listen to her. And my wife was on the phone with us, and she was like, okay, I get it. So you can do this. Stay with it. Wow. So without that conversation, I have to tell you, I was going to leave. I was going to get out of this business. And the next year I was at Remax. I was a different company, and I went to Remax, and I became the rookie of the year the next year. And after that, I was a top team in New England for Remax and all these other pieces. So we started building and growing and changing and evolving. And ultimately, I got an opportunity to build my own office out at Keller Williams here in the area. And I opened up my own mega agent office. So, and we're super fired up for our team. It's been an awesome place to be. And we've got the right people, which is huge. It's the right people matter, right?
For sure.
Because you wake up every morning and you've got to put yourself in the right world, because you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang around the most.
Well said.
Right? And if those people don't lift you up and they're not a positive energy in your life, and you don't have people to actually look up to and challenge you, then why are you here?
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough to grow from that. It's you are guilty by association, positive or negative, and that can equally drag you down. It's just as fast as lifting you up. And that pathway and that story, I am so glad that you didn't get out, because I've heard over the years several different conversations and storylines between some of the most incredible real estate professionals, and it blows my mind that there's been so many of you that there has been those breaking points and or close to, more bending, not breaking points, of just throwing in the towel and looking at it. This is a tough business. This is not easy under any circumstances, but it's that continued nature of not giving up and pushing forward and surrounding yourself with great people and having those mentors in your life and that guidance basis, and really just focusing on the most important things that move the needle. But look, even the best and brightest minds get discouraged and frustrated, and that's normal. We're all human. But it's not so much as if you get what is it, Mike Tyson? Everybody's fine until they get punched in the face. Right. Then that's what happens after you get punched in the face. And what do you do with it? And, how do you learn from it and grow? And that's all that you're representing out there in the world, in the community, in real estate, Sven. And I think it's a, wonderful projection, and people need to hear these things. I know you're doing a lot of big things going on right now, and you got stuff going on with Inman Connect here coming up soon, as well as Family Reunion with KW. So can you tell everybody just a little bit about that and what you're doing there?
Yeah, so I'm super fired up and honored to be doing some different things with Keller Williams. The other day I did a script off with my good friend Nick Welder and some other folks, and just trying to be connected at a different level. I think whatever organization that you're part of, just find your tribe. I have a lot of friends in the world of real estate, and I'm not pushing for one company or another. I'm all about trying to find right models and systems to follow so that I don't have to recreate the wheel. Mm-hmm. And what I found is that, with the right people to do the right things, you can learn a lot. But we're talking about on Inman Connect on, I think it's February 26th, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, January 26th, January 26th this year. I'm going to be on Inman Connect. We're talking about building teams.
Love it.
And then Family Reunion, we're going to be talking about how we are handling our virtual seller, buyer, and investor seminar series presentations, and how we're cultivating opportunities on listing in the buying side and investing side for our team. So those are the different pieces of the puzzle that we're doing. We're just doing so many different things on social and just kind of like, I got to tell you, I just want to build the right team and the right focus and have all these other pieces falling into place. But I mean, here's a little thing I've talked about with team and culture. And for me, it's about seeing some of my team members light up and see how to actually evolve and change. And we were doing some scripting the other day, and I want to just talk a little bit about it. I just saw them take the scripting tools and implement them. And I was like, that's what fires me up more than anything, is like to see somebody grow like that. Greg, I was so fired up by that. And the way in which they say, I'm so grateful for our team and what we're doing, what we're building. And I'm like, this is cool. And some of the things that we're doing for team building, we're going to talk a little bit about it on Inman Connect, is we did our virtual Christmas party and our virtual event we did a bolognese making class,
cool,
serving wine, and had it all delivered to the team. But we build like this whole thing. We did axe throwing as a team pre-COVID and some other things. So you got to build this connection with your team, and you got to try to do that with your clients too. And we're doing all kinds of different things. We're doing a virtual challenge with our team. A health challenge. So it's basically you got 60 or 90 days, and we have 60 days. We started December 1st. We get till the end of January. And we're going through this, and every week we're actually holding each other accountable to fitness and health goals. Like little things that keep us together. And I think that's what's cool about what we're building. I mean, these other things are cool too. I don't mean to say that there's other opportunities that aren't cool. I think with Inman Connect and these components of building teams, that's a really important piece. And then this virtual thing has been huge for us.
Well, and I want to talk about that too, and some takeaways into the next portion, but this has been incredible information so far, Sven. And I guess I just want to compliment you, because I know everybody's thinking about this the same way. Your excitement towards the growth of the people that you are spending your time with, and the successes of your team and who you're surrounding yourself, that fires you up, is incredible, because it's not you. It's not about you. It's about them and everybody else in your life and in your world. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's probably a big portion of why you're so successful, why the team is so successful, is because it's nurtured, it's cared for. It's not just a dollars and cents sort of standpoint, or very transactional. And hopefully everybody took that away. I love to have that reflection to push everybody to think of what their current situation and or environment is. And are they getting those tools? Are they getting that nurturing? Do they have somebody like you, right, who's really caring for what they're doing with their lives and with their businesses? The answer is no. I don't know. I mean, you really got to have some hard thoughts into your mind, into your brain that way. But yeah, I just love this representation, and amongst so many different reasons why I consider you a Titans fan. It's just incredible stuff. But I do want to shift it to the tactical portion. You've given so many nuggets already. So, but I know you're a wealth of knowledge. We could just go on and on. But if you could look back at your career thus far, and whether it's into building the team or as an individual producer, or what you've seen really stick into your business, a few things that you added that it really moved the needle for growth. Any advice that you give anybody who's watching or listening? What's that look like?
Video.
All right. Tell me more. Tell me more. This is good.
I just have to tell you that, so I've got multiple coaches.
Okay.
I got business coaches. I've got financial coaches. I've got health coaches. I've got people that you've got to have those people, and they've pushed me a little bit.
Love it.
And so one of my coaches basically said to me, "You've got to do video. Like, you've got to be consistent with it and lean into it." And so I was like, I've never done a Facebook Live. I've never done this. Like, oh God, what am I doing?
Sure.
I fumbled my way through it. Told the story about why I was selling my own house. And converted four clients who want to sell houses. And ultimately it's not about converting clients, but it's about telling my story. And I found that people really gravitate to that. They really do gravitate to, the story of why you're doing what you're doing. And trying to make sure that people know that story is really powerful. And I'm telling my team, like, listen, we're doing pre and post videos to listing opportunities before we're meeting them, doing just an introduction on your iPhone.
Okay.
Texting it to them. Same thing on the follow-up. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us, Greg. A really pleasure. Want to do whatever we can. We're going to follow up with the text. We're going to follow up with a systemized process that you can, learn about as it relates to our listing presentation and or our buyer presentation, whatever have you. And we're going to share with you all these different things. Here's a link to our Google form so that you can fill out our Google buyer intake or and we'll go through our seller intake with them. So we do all kinds of different things, and everything is automated, which is really
it's huge.
Pretty cool. So when somebody fills out a seller intake form, but we do this with a video piece. So we have a systemized process for it. So after the video gets sent, we fill out the buyer or seller intake. The seller intake then gets dropped into our database via Zapier. It gets then or triggered to set up an appointment in the calendars for the appropriate parties. And then it launches all these other different back-end systems that our director of operations put into place. I did not do that. I'll make sure I say that.
That director of ops is worth its weight in gold. There's no doubt. That's a lot of great stuff out there.
But you know what? You're only as good as the people that surround you, right? Yes. I say it again, right? I can't do this myself. I don't want to do this myself. I've got 3 girls and a dog named Ollie, and my wife, who I love and adore. And I got to tell you that my time spent, if I can take all my time, I want to pour it into my team and into my family. And that's what I want to do with my life. And I have to tell you that I really realized that it's not about what you have. It's not what you do. It's like who you're sharing your time with. And I think that if you're doing the right things the right way, you can streamline a lot of this business with all these checklists and flow charts and processes. And that's awesome.
Sure.
You've got to make sure you pour to the people that are around you. Because when you do it right and when you systematize this business, you're going to be free to spend time with other people. And I always tell people, and this is, I say to my new team agents, like, listen, don't set the standard for people answering the phone call at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, because then you set the standard to always have to answer the phone call at that time.
So
and
true.
Every single time and somebody told me this when I first got into business, they said, every time that you say yes to somebody, you typically say no to somebody else. And guess who it is that you say no to?
Wow.
Your family.
Yeah.
So don't do that. And I think what it comes down to is, right, like, trying to elevate what you're doing and change your game is really a critical part of it. But it's about people. The right people around you make you. That's how I believe it. So
I mean, there's so many layers to that piece of advice, or multitudes. I mean, it's the people that you surround yourself with, right? That they're true practitioners of their crafts. They love what they're doing. And again, taking that time that you would be doing it off of your plate to do what you do best, which I think is one monster takeaway. I'm gonna kind of rebut you on that for a second. Two, the video portion I think is crucial, and there's so many different ways for live video, from streaming to pre-recorded video to using automation and leveraging systems and tools. That is a game changer in and of itself, right? Setting up the right process, the right systems, using proper content that's actually going to nurture, it's going to have an emotional connection, that it's not so cold, and implementing video, I think, is the closest thing. Just like you and I right now, we're live streaming. We could be in the same room right now. We're 2,000 miles apart, but I feel like I'm hanging out with you right now, just like hopefully everybody else does. I think there's so many layers to that advice that you're going through. But Sven, really, I think a lot of producers have this problem, whether they're newer or they're seasoned into the business, is to let go, to take that advice that is so true. Can't state enough what you just said is so true, to be able to take things off of your plate, to take things off of your shoulders, to stop feeling that you have to touch every single aspect of your business. Otherwise, it's not going to get done, or not to get done to the highest of standards. What advice would you give to anybody out there who is on that point where they're thinking, I know I need to do this, but I just can't let go? What would you say to them? Or what did you say to yourself? I mean, you did it so early, at a year in. I mean, you let go by hiring an assistant. What is it? I mean,
just let go of here's a problem, and I'm trying to figure this out right now. Listen, I'm not perfect at anything by any means. I'm not perfect, and I don't know everything there is to know, but I do know that, listen, I need to push myself to be challenged, right? And I need to push others to be challenged. And I think that if you can let go of some things, you're going to grow. And if you don't let go of them, you won't. And so I've learned that you have to just challenge yourself and push yourself. Like, I didn't want to do this video, Facebook Live. I'm like, oh my God, I'm scared shitless. I have no idea what I'm doing. I really don't. And I'm like, what if I say something wrong? Or what if I do something wrong? Like, you know what? People want to know that I'm real.
Correct. Yep.
People want to know that you fumble. Like, I fumble.
Everybody.
My team knows I fumble. My wife knows I fumble. My kids certainly know I fumble. Like, here's the deal, right? Like, you got to be real, right? And I think, going back to it, video makes it real, right? If you're doing it live and you're doing it on your face, if you're doing it on your iPhone and you're just shooting a video, like, it's real. Like, this is real. There's no editing this. This is Facebook Live, and it's going live. So
it's live now. Yeah. It's not edited at all.
Right. So if you're not putting yourself out there and learning about social media or doing video or, challenging yourself, then how are you growing? How are you growing professional? How are you growing personally? How are you doing that? Like, what are you doing to challenge yourself? And I think that, I just want to always challenge myself. And I think, going back to this video piece, because I really didn't finish it, I want to add more video to my world.
Okay.
I want to add more clip it video to shoot, Facebook Lives and to do that. And I'm getting all the tools in place to do that.
Perfect.
But I also hired a professional videographer who shoots all of our houses. And I'm starting to build a media company around that, because I don't want to be held hostage to other videographers and media people. So I'm building something different so that we can actually shoot more videos that are at a high level. And then we're layering those into our world this year. So it's a little different world that we're building. And I think what I'm finding is that I'm intrigued by what's going to come, because the video piece and just sharing how real you are and what challenges you're faced with, make you relatable.
Correct. Yep. That's just connectivity at that level of any human nature and any dialogue that way. And I would agree with you. And I think there's so many professionals that are wanting to get involved with video. They're not sure how to do it or what steps to do it. And again, that comes down to leadership. But I mean, there's no such thing as great artists, only great thieves. There's very few original ideas that are out there. It's real estate. It's been done. There are, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars that are made. So just look to the true practitioners, what the pros are really doing, and then take it at your level and implement what you can in chunks and just kind of move forward and really see that success once revenue comes in the door, then how do you reinvest and make more revenue, right? Help more families, help more lives, grow the team. I think that just kind of comes in through evolution of your career. You don't start, in chapter 100 the first day, right? You got to work your way through the chapters of your life. You can accelerate some of that as everything that you're saying and more, Sven. And I think that it's really, really huge notes to take away. A lot of times when I have these conversations on the digital end, especially with marketing, I mean, it really looks at it from video, to your point. You got to have your hook. You got to have, in a noisy world that we live in, and not just real estate, but business. If you look at any media that's out there online, there's a ton of people with products and services and lives and things that they're doing and sharing. So how do you stand out amongst all of that noise, first and foremost, to get people's attention to stop? And then the second layer is, once you have their attention, then how long can you keep it? That's really it at the end of the day. Whether it's 10 seconds, whether it's 30 minutes, hopefully everybody's attention is still on this after, I don't know how long we've been chatting, Sven, but it's been great. But you get the point, right? I mean, you're living proof of putting in the work, thinking about the end result, and really systematizing it in a way that can be scaled. And that's it. I mean, there's no secret, right? I mean,
Not at all.
yeah.
So speaking of that, and you need to read this book if you haven't, Hook Points.
I have not.
So to your point, that's this book.
Okay.
In a nutshell. So he's written 2 books, 100 million followers.
Okay.
And Hook Points. These 2 books are super powerful. So much to the point that I hired Brendan.
Wow. That's
so
big.
Why is that so important in this digital age? To your point,
Mm-hmm.
It's so critical that you connect with people and you have 30 seconds to do it. What is the right messaging?
Right.
What is the right connection? How do you do that? How do you grow it? How do you connect with those people? And what do you say or do to get somebody to react, to want to actually scroll through the Instagram feed or Facebook feed and actually say, I want to watch that?
Yeah.
How do you do that? What is it? What's the hook?
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is we're figuring that out as a company.
Brilliant.
To be able to lean into that process and take next steps. Like I'm all about trying to figure out how to actually build our brand and elevate it and make sure that we take next steps to be able to implement it. And I got to tell you, that book is awesome. So Hook Points.
Love
Brendan
that.
Kane.
Love that. And you mentioned another one too. What was the second book? There was Hook Point.
100 million followers.
Okay. Very cool. And yeah, I mean, Sven, this has been.
Or 1 million followers. Yeah. 1 million followers. Sorry.
1,000,000. Well,
million, yeah.
We'll have it in the comments below, everybody. I'll look it up. I will make sure that everything is in there. All Sven's contact information, that he shared. And then I encourage everybody to follow this man on all medias, really learn from one of the best and brightest minds. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions directly to it. Hopefully I'm not throwing you under the bus there, Sven, but
this is awesome. I appreciate you taking the time and sharing, and I want to be able to help others. I don't want to be have that person like, hey, get out of this business. I think it's so hard for people to do that. And you know what, I just want to be able to help others. And I found out that, the more that you give, the more you get. And I got to tell you, I just want to make sure that people do that, because I think that it's hard in this business to be able to figure out what steps to take. Like, and I think it's all about that piece. So I actually block time on my calendar to help other people. Wow. and our team. And so I want to make sure I do that for anybody that's listening to this podcast and or live Facebook feed. If there's questions, email me and I'll try to figure out how to help you. I think nobody else did that for me, but I want to make sure I pay it forward as Leslie did for me. So and she did it for me. So I want to pay it forward to other people. It's pretty powerful. You did it today and then some, Sven, but yes, please, anybody out there, reach out. I can't thank you enough for taking the time spent. You are an official real estate titan, so I have to dub that in there. That is a title that you can bear forever. No one can take that away from you. So, but I appreciate it. It was an honor and a pleasure. And everybody out there as well, it's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time, your love and support with what we do with Real Estate Titans. Like us, subscribe us. You know what to do at this point. I do need to give our sponsor a quick shout out, Lionbolt Media. If you are in real estate, you're looking at the digital end to grow and scale your brand and your presence in your local market, convert to more transactions, visit lionboltmedia.com. We are live here on Real Estate Titans every Tuesday afternoon with a different Titan in a different location. We'll catch everybody in the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care. Thanks, Sven. See you, bud.